So if you're here today and you struggle with knowing what to pray about, then this is going to be good because he gives us a recipe for what that looks like. In verse 6, he says this. Just go back to it. Do not be anxious about anything. For those of us who struggle with anxiety, this kind of seems a little disingenuous. Can I get an amen? But he doesn't leave it there. Just stop it, right? He says, but in everything, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. Make your requests known to God. And he gives us this recipe for a promise-infused prayer. The first thing he tells us, and I'm using these words from a guy by the name of Warren Wiersbe. He's a pastor, author, writer, written a bunch of stuff, really good stuff. But the first step to a promise-infused prayer is adoration. Because when he says by prayer, that word is we think of, okay, I'm going to pray to God. But really what that's getting the idea of is devotion, worship, and adoration to God. There's a reason why Jesus, when he was teaching his disciples how to pray, he started with, our Father who is in heaven, hallowed be thy name. And we don't use, hallowed. We don't use that word very often. But basically what he's saying is, our Father, you're in heaven, right? Make your name holy, or your name is holy. In other words, you are separate from us. He's adoring God. And when we are dealing with the difficulties in life, then our response needs to be a prayer that begins with adoration. Because in that, we are giving honor to God, but we are also reminding ourselves of the truth that God is greater than the problems we're facing right here. That he is beyond the situations that we are facing in the here and now. So we need to go to God with adoration to begin with. And then he says another word, supplication. Prayer and supplication. So supplicate, another word we don't usually use, but basically it comes out of the idea that it's a request. We make requests or we ask something, we plead for something earnestly and humbly. And so out of adoration comes our request. So we begin with acknowledging who God is, what he is all about, and then we come to him and say, God, this is what I'm dealing with. And then he goes to this, appreciation. So with thanksgiving, right? And I don't know about you, but for me, when I'm dealing with some kind of difficulty, the last thing I want to do is be thankful, right? Because when we're dealing with difficulties, that doesn't feel good. It causes us not to be thankful. That's why we're going to God. But the thing is, we need to be appreciative of the things he's already done in our lives and the things he's doing in our lives right here now. And so it's with that promise-infused prayer that we respond to the feelings of worry and the feelings of anxiety.